Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website all about reimagining your life. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk about living beyond money. So let's get started. If you like what you hear tonight, please leave a like, tell your friends, send me a message. And tonight we're going to talk about two people that I learned about, one recently deceased, actually, the other a young man who is in the process of kind of reinventing his life, but they have a lot in common in their core principles. And that alone is kind of fascinating. There was probably, 50, 60 years of age between the two of them. And actually thinking about it as I was writing it, I kind of changed my mind. I kind of fibbed. There are two people I want to talk about, but tonight I'm just going to focus on one of them because each of those people are interesting enough, I think, that they deserve to kind of have their own moment in time. So tonight I'll just be talking about Dr. Michael Brescia, Brescia, a clever and promising young doctor who you may have heard of if you're involved with kidney dialysis. I certainly had never heard of him though. And I saw his obituary this past Saturday in Saturday's Wall Street Journal. Hopefully they'll allow me to give the full article to my followers. If you take a look at either the posting for this or in the comments on this video, you'll find the entire link. It's a little too long to show on the screen, but and just a little sidetrack here. As I mentioned before, I truly recommend the Wall Street Journal for kind of a more balanced, slightly conservative view of the world. Things like religion's respected, both sides of the political spectrum are nicely critiqued. There's no free rides for either side. And the quality of the editorials are amazing. They often have these big discounts on first-year subscriptions. So I recommend that. Keep your eye out for them. It's worth every penny just for the news, just for the editorials. And to be clear, they don't have any sort of affiliate program, so I get nothing from this, just recommending something that I find very valuable to read, in part because of things like the story of tonight. So the story, of course, is about Dr. Brescia, and his associate, Dr. Cimino, Cimino. And they were the creators of the method used to connect kidney dialysis machines to patients in a way that allowed for the rapid blood flows in and out of the body that made dialysis machines practical. Before that, basically, you stick a needle in a vein or whatever, in an artery actually, and it was a very slow, extremely slow and difficult process. And so he was 33 years old, and the two of them figured out how to actually make this work so that they could really do fast blood transfers and make dialysis practical. So you could go in and in an hour and a half treatment or whatever be done. And he said, so he's 33 years old. He figured this was his ticket to riches. He had it all made. This is fantastic. It was going to revolutionize dialysis. And then his father suggested that instead of being rich, maybe he just should, hurry up and give it to the people, which is exactly what they did. And they published it. They published it for free. There are no patents, completely unencumbered. Anyone could use it, and everyone did. And he said that he never made any money off of that invention. But also important, he never regretted that decision, because he and Dr. Cimino devoted the bulk of their careers to Calvary Hospital, which is a nonprofit hospital in the Bronx in New York City. And there, Dr. Brescia spent over 50 years in the field of palliative care, which is not typically considered an especially lucrative specialty. Instead, he said that he was rewarded by the tiny victories they could bring to sick patients and the moments of joy that otherwise would have been lost. And they had a number of stories about it, but probably my favorite story was about this homeless woman, and she had dementia and couldn't remember when her birthday was, and she was always afraid she had missed it. So the staff members gave her a cupcake and sang her happy birthday every day until she passed away. That was the kind of compassion he inspired in those around him. Dr. Brescia also said that the art of medicine comes from loving your patients and caring for them. And he somewhat lamented that the doctor-patient relationships now is mostly gone. They're replaced by managed care companies and insurance companies and things focused on profit. So Dr. Brescia understood that not only the real power in medicine and healing comes from personally caring for your patients, but also that the real fulfillment in life also comes from caring for others and brings far more riches than just money could ever give. As he said about he and Dr. Cimino, we took a road. To the left, it looked shiny and gold, but to the right, it looked happier to us. So my thanks to his family and the Wall Street Journal for sharing that obituary in the Saturday, April 29th, 2023 edition of the paper. It truly changed not only my day, but possibly my life, and possibly, who knows what it's going to change in the future. Just seeing someone who made such a selfless decision. And a lot of people do that and then they kind of grumble about it. But he did it and embraced it for the entire rest of his life. But as always, no, we'll step back for a minute. And again, people might be saying, that's great. I'm glad he had a great life. But what's this got to do with me, right? How does this help me discover my best life and the best me? Well, although it didn't say so in the story, I'm sure that many people were, coaching Dr. Brescia and Dr. Simino to monetize their invention. I'm sure they heard stories like, if you're wealthy, then you can do more to help other people, or it's okay to do good while you're doing well for yourself. And all those similar stories, I hear a lot of them. But instead, they took the happy road and they made their invention free to use and thereby changed the lives of millions and millions of people for the better. Remember that the discovery and production of insulin was intended to be free as well. And the original patents were sold to the University of Toronto for $1 each by the three creators, so for $3. And we all know how that story ended. They could have patented it and the patent could have been sold, but instead, these two doctors who did the dialysis machine gave it away entirely for free. They took the extra step of just publishing the results so the discovery would truly be free. But even more than just that, they then dedicated the rest of their lives to helping those who are often neglected and overlooked, and even more so, influenced those around them to act in that same totally compassionate way. And even beyond that, who knows how many people they've influenced in the world through their role models. I don't know what drew me to this obituary, although I often kind of glance at them. They usually start out with, Mr. and Mrs. thus and such started with nothing, made $1 bazillion by turning around Acme Industries and making the powerhouse that we know today before starting a charity. And that's nice, I guess. But this obituary started out differently. The headline was, "Doctor gave up riches to comfort the dying." How could I not read it? And wow, what a story. How could you not be positively influenced by it? But that is the result of decades of them living their vision of compassion. And that is something I doubt either of them really thought about during their lives. So think about how you live. Maybe you won't get an obituary in the Wall Street Journal, but even if it's just in your local paper or just some friends talking about you, wouldn't it be nicer to have them say, wow, Mary always had a nice word for someone who was sad, instead of, Mary was a real tough boss and she doubled the value of that company. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you can't do well, and of course you can be an effective leader, but it makes a difference in every part of your life and how you present it. If you're doing those things in pursuit of a noble goal versus just the pursuit of personal riches, people will see the difference and they will genuinely respect a noble and compassionate goal and be positively influenced to try and do the same if you're a genuine role model. So that's it for tonight. I hope you see that no matter how young or old you are, you can always change the world. You can always make changes. You can always work for a higher goal. And that's, of course, what we keep talking about is really envision what motivates you, what makes you the best that you can possibly be, and then create your life around that. So your homework, which is optional, of course, is to take some aspect of your life and to imagine how you could prioritize it to make the world a better place. And even better, we've talked about this trick before of knowing that you cannot fail at what you're doing. So now if you know you can't fail, now what would you do to live your life to its absolute fullest and make the world around you the best it could possibly be? And then, of course, we always have bonus points. Bonus points, you think about how your legacy could influence others to act in a more caring and compassionate way just by hearing about you. So that's it for the evening. As always, put up ukr7.com, still up. That's our link to sites for donating to Ukraine. Lots of sites there. There's also a link there to wck.org, the World Central Kitchen, and they do meals for people in need. They work worldwide. They've worked recently, actually, in the United States when the hurricanes came through recently. And so they're a great organization. Lots of other good organizations listed on the site ukr7.com. So I'd encourage you to take a look. If somebody's looking, say, what can I do? How can I help out? Send them there. There's lots of places. I'm going to be updating that. I just found some more links. I'll add on to those. And remember that one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. So if you can and you're able, please check it out at ukr7.com. As always, thank you for stopping by. If you found something interesting or useful, please pass it along and please hit that like button. And if not, please drop me a comment as to what you'd like to hear. Have a great week. Remember to live the life that you dreamed of, because that's the path to true contentment. Love and encouragement to everyone, and see you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. Thank you.